Welcome back, everyone. We're diving deep into the psychology of gift giving today.
Yeah, should be
We've
fun.
got some great material to work with.
We do. Blog posts, psychology articles,
Uh-huh.
even a little bit of a history lesson on gift giving.
Ooh, I love those. Should be interesting to uncover kind of the why behind giving gifts.
Exactly. Why we give them, what motivates us to do it,
Yeah.
and how it all ties back to, our brains and our relationships.
Yeah, like how it all kind of fits into society.
Right. Because it's more than just buying something, right? There's deeper stuff going on.
Oh, for sure. Like, have you ever thought about how giving a gift actually makes you feel good? Like, maybe even better than the person you gave it to.
Totally. There's actual science behind that,
Right.
that warm, fuzzy feeling you get.
I've always called it the helper's high, but never really, thought about the science behind it.
Well, research shows that giving a gift triggers your brain to release dopamine.
Dopamine, huh?
Yeah, and that's the neurotransmitter that's linked to pleasure, feeling good,
Mm.
like when you eat something delicious or finally achieve a goal.
So it's like our brains are rewarding us for being generous.
Basically, yeah. And it's not just a one-time thing either. Studies show this dopamine rush actually makes us more likely to be generous again in the future.
So it's a cycle then.
Totally. Giving equals pleasure. Pleasure makes you want to give more. A positive feedback loop.
Fascinating. It's like we're hardwired for generosity.
It seems that way, but there might be a little more to it than pure altruism.
Oh, really?
Yeah. As much as we love that dopamine and that helper's high, even selfless acts often have a bit of self-interest mixed in.
Wait, so you're saying that even when we're trying to be kind, there's a part of us hoping to get something in return?
Not always in a, tangible way.
Yeah.
But think about it. We're social creatures, right? Our brains crave connection and a sense of belonging.
Right.
And gift giving, historically, has been a huge part of building strong social bonds. It shows we belong in the group.
So it's like we're signaling our commitment to the relationship,
Yeah.
showing we're in the in-group.
Right. And it reinforces our role within that structure. It goes way back, too.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, think about, ancient hunter-gatherer groups.
Okay.
They would exchange food or tools
Right.
to strengthen their alliances.
Essential stuff, I guess, when you're relying on each other for survival.
Exactly. And today, it's still happening, just in different ways. Businesses use corporate gifts to, build relationships with clients.
So it's like gift giving is this social currency that's been around forever.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And the way it's used can be different depending on, the culture and time period.
That's a really cool perspective. It's like gift giving has all these layers.
It does. It goes beyond just that personal exchange between two people.
It's like social communication with all these hidden meanings and implications.
Exactly. Speaking of history, want to take a little trip back in time.
Ooh, a history lesson. I'm in.
All right, so picture this.
Hmm.
Cavemen, way back when. They would exchange unusual rocks or animal teeth.
Huh. Interesting gifts.
Yeah, but they weren't just trinkets, right? They symbolized friendship, trust, sharing resources.
So even way back then, gift giving was about building those social bonds.
Exactly. Survival depended on those connections.
It makes you realize how ingrained it is in us.
And as societies became more complex, so did their gifts.
In what ways?
We'll take, for example, the Native American potlatch ceremonies. Tribes would get together and exchange these really elaborate gifts.
Sounds fancy.
It was. It was their way of confirming their status and strengthening alliances between tribes.
Not just about the stuff itself, though, right?
No, it was a whole social performance with cultural significance.
So gift giving as a way to show off your place in society, maintain order.
Exactly. And those ideas continue to appear through history. Look at the ancient Egyptians. They'd bury their loved ones with all these elaborate gifts for the afterlife.
Wow. Like what kinds of gifts?
Well, all kinds of stuff. It was more about showing how important that person was in life and ensuring they were taken care of in the next.
Powerful stuff. Gift giving that goes beyond death.
Right. It's about the symbolism. And those meanings evolved as we get closer to the present day. Take the dowry tradition, for example.
Oh, yeah. The medieval prenup.
Exactly. Exchanging land, livestock, precious metals.
High stakes gift giving.
It was. But again, there were social and economic reasons behind it. Solidifying family status, forming alliances, securing the bride's future.
So much more than just, I love you, let's get married.
Right. And these dynamics are still around today, shaping how we give gifts. But before we jump to the present, let's circle back to those psychological benefits we were talking about.
Yes, let's. I'm ready for more brain science. Tell me about that helper's high.
All right, so we talked about that dopamine rush, right? Well, that's just one piece of the puzzle. When we give, other parts of our brains light up too.
Like what?
The regions associated with social bonding and empathy.
Oh, wow. So our brains are literally wired to reward us for connecting with others.
It seems so.
Mm-hmm.
And studies show that people who do altruistic things, like volunteer work or donating to charity,
Uh-huh.
they tend to report higher levels of happiness, more satisfied with their lives.
So giving doesn't just make us feel good in the moment, it actually contributes to our overall well-being.
That's right. And it's not just about the giver either. Receiving a gift also has positive effects.
Oh, interesting. How so?
It can trigger feelings of gratitude, obviously, but also happiness and a sense of belonging.
It's like a both sides win.
Exactly. There was even one study where just remembering a time when they'd given a gift made people more likely to give again.
Wow. That's amazing. So even the memory of being generous can make us more generous in the future?
It's like a superpower. And it shows just how powerful giving can be for our brains, relationships, everything.
This is all so insightful. Okay, I'm really curious about those 5 key benefits of gift giving you mentioned earlier. I want to be a better gift giver. What are those?
Well, let's start with the most basic one. It's nice to be nice.
Seems simple enough.
It is, but it actually goes deep, evolutionarily speaking. Acts of kindness, like gift giving, release endorphins.
Those feel-good chemicals, right?
Yeah, they lower stress and make us feel better.
So there's a biological reason for those warm fuzzies.
Exactly. And both people benefit. The giver and the receiver get a mood boost. Less stress.
It's like kindness is contagious.
It is, and that leads right into the next benefit, stronger bonds.
Hmm.
Gift giving is like essential for building and keeping relationships strong. It's a way of saying, I value you.
I've definitely got a few gifts that mean a lot to me, not because of what they are, but because of who gave them to me. They symbolize that relationship.
Exactly. It's not about the object itself. It's the message behind it, a reminder of a connection.
Like a physical representation of the relationship.
Perfectly said. Which takes us to the next benefit, the power of empathy.
Empathy. How does that tie into giving gifts?
Well, choosing a thoughtful gift means you have to really put yourself in the other person's shoes. What do they like? What do they need?
Makes sense.
That process of understanding someone else's perspective, that's empathy.
So gift giving is like a workout for our empathy muscles.
It is.
Yeah.
And that can have benefits beyond just choosing the right gift. It can help us communicate better, be more compassionate.
Wow. I'm starting to see gift giving in a whole new light now.
It really is fascinating when you dig into it.
Okay, so we've covered what? 3 benefits so far.
Yep. Nice to be nice.
Yeah.
Stronger bonds, the power of empathy. 2 more to go, each with its own interesting twist. Ready for those?
Hit me with them. All right, lay 'em on me. What are those last 2 benefits?
Okay, so the next one from the OMO blog is expressing gratitude.
Ooh, that's a good one. Especially with the holidays coming up, you know? It's a time when people are thinking about all the things they're thankful for.
Right? And gifts can be a really powerful way to show someone how much you appreciate them.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to say thank you, but a gift shows you put thought into it.
Exactly. It's like a more tangible way of expressing that gratitude.
Mm.
Think about a mentor who's helped you.
Or a coworker who's always got your back.
Exactly. A thoughtful gift can really show them how much you value them.
It's like saying, I see you, I appreciate you, and I'm grateful for everything you do.
Exactly. It goes beyond just those everyday thank yous. It's deeper.
This is really making me think about how I approach gift giving. It's not just about finding the right thing, it's about the message behind it.
You got it. But before we get too sentimental, remember we talked about the not-so-selfless side of giving, too.
Oh, right. That idea that even when we're trying to be totally selfless, there might be a little bit of self-interest mixed in.
Right. And the Amio article actually touches on this with its 5th benefit, reciprocation.
Reciprocation. So like hoping to get something back.
Not necessarily, at least not consciously. It's more about that human desire for balance in relationships. We want to feel like things are fair.
So maybe not expecting a gift in return, but hoping that our generosity is recognized and appreciated, like the other person feels that connection too.
Exactly. And that desire for reciprocation is not a bad thing.
Well,
It just reflects our need to feel connected and valued.
that makes sense. But how do you avoid those situations where gift giving feels more like an obligation than a genuine expression of care? Like those office Secret Santa things where you end up getting a random gift card for someone you barely know just because you have to.
Yeah, the dreaded Secret Santa. That's a good example of how social pressure can take over. But remember, you always have a choice.
You do?
Yeah, you can always opt out of those things if they feel forced. Or you can use it as a chance to practice your empathy skills. Find a small but meaningful gift that shows you put some thought into it.
Ooh, I like that. Turning a potentially awkward situation into a chance to connect with someone.
Exactly. And that brings us to another crucial point. Finding a gift that works for both the giver and the receiver.
Oh, that's the tricky part. How do you find that balance between expressing yourself and giving something the other person will actually like?
Well, psychology has some insights there. Studies show that people actually appreciate gifts they wouldn't buy for themselves.
Really? Why is that?
It shows that you, as the giver, really thought about their needs and desires, and it allows them to experience something new.
Oh, like if someone gets me a fancy bathrobe, I'd never splurge on that for myself, but if someone gifts it to me, it feels like a special treat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're giving them permission to indulge. It's about expanding their horizons.
So you're saying it's about knowing them well, but also surprising them in a good way, like a little adventure for their tastes.
That's a great way to put it. Now, remember those different types of gifts we talked about earlier from the gifting psychology excerpt? They mentioned gifts that are more symbolic of the giver. Those can be tricky.
Oh, yeah, I know those. The ones that are basically, here's a gift that I would want.
Exactly. And while it's fine to do that sometimes, especially if you know the other person shares your tastes, you have to be mindful of how it comes across.
Right. It shouldn't be about showcasing your own preferences. It's about the other person.
And finding that balance, between self-expression and understanding their needs.
Hmm.
And this can get even more complicated when you consider things like social status.
Ooh, yeah. Gift giving can be a way of showing off your status, can it?
Absolutely. And that's a whole other layer we need to unpack. But before we go there, how about we pause for a second and just reflect on what we've learned so far?
Yeah. Yeah, good idea. We've covered a lot of ground here. Dopamine, ancient history, the art of choosing the right gift. Gift giving really is more complex than people think.
It is. And we're not done yet. Up next, we're going to delve into how gift giving intersects with things like social status, power dynamics, and even the digital age. Stay tuned for that.
Okay, so gift giving and status, where do we even begin with that?
Well, gifts have always been a way for people to signal their status, both the giver and the receiver. It's subtle, but it's there.
Oh, yeah. Like when you see those, huge corporate gift baskets being exchanged between CEOs or something.
Exactly. Or those over-the-top wedding gifts that are clearly meant to impress everyone.
Yeah. It's like they're trying to one-up each other with their generosity.
Right. And it's not just the super rich either. Think about those situations where you feel pressure to keep up with your friends.
Oh, totally. Like if everyone in your group is giving really expensive birthday gifts, you might feel like you have to do the same, even if it's not really in your budget.
Exactly. It's easy to get caught up in that game of appearances. But
Mm.
remember, true generosity isn't about how much you spend or what other people think.
So how do we, avoid getting sucked into that trap? How do we make sure we're giving for the right reasons?
Honestly, it comes down to self-awareness. Ask yourself why you're choosing a particular gift. Are you trying to impress someone or make a statement?
Or are you genuinely thinking about what the recipient would like and appreciate?
Exactly. Sometimes the most meaningful gifts are the ones that don't cost a thing, like
Yeah.
spending quality time with someone or doing something nice for them.
Right. It's about the thought and effort behind it, not the price tag.
Okay, so let's talk about how technology and social media have influenced gift giving.
Oh, that's a big one. I feel like we're constantly bombarded with images of, these crazy expensive gifts on Instagram and TikTok. It's hard not to compare.
It's true. Social media has created this whole culture of performative generosity, where people document and share their gifts online for everyone to see.
Like those perfectly staged photos of like designer handbags with the tissue paper and everything.
Right. Or those videos of like over-the-top marriage proposals with giant diamond rings. It's become another way to get validation.
So how do we keep gift giving authentic in this digital age?
Well, for starters, you don't have to participate in every online trend. You don't have to feel pressured to keep up with everyone else.
It's okay to keep some things private.
Exactly. Share what feels genuine to you, and remember that true generosity doesn't need an audience.
Love that. Okay, so as we wrap things up, What's the one key takeaway you want listeners to remember about gift giving?
Remember that it's all about connection. It's about bridging that gap between you and another person, showing them you care.
It's not about the stuff.
Right. It's about those acts of kindness and generosity and the shared experiences you create.
Well, I gotta say, this has been a really eye-opening deep dive. I've learned so much.
I'm glad to hear that. That's what we aim for with these deep dives.
You've definitely achieved it. I feel like I have a whole new perspective on gift giving now.
And that's a gift in itself.
So true. To everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this exploration of the psychology of gift giving. We hope you found it as fascinating as we did. Until next time, happy giving.